Priest to apologize from time to time. I announced the hymn a little too early. Thank you for going along with the hymn. I have to tell you, we planned this service carefully. About 3 weeks ago, Barbara said to me, and this isn't in my remarks, Russ, I don't know if I want to sing Amazing Grace. Everybody sings that. And I said, well, everybody knows that. And then I messed it up. So it's like Bar got the last laugh on me on that one. So thanks again. Despite this distinguished gathering today, I have to tell you that I think there are only two who can fill this place the way it's filled today. The first of those is Jesus Christ. The second of those is Barbara Bush. So we are grateful for your gathering here today. The word offering came to mind, and then I heard Barbara say, don't even think about it. Ganny's Garden, given by friends and loved ones of Barbara Pierce Bush, is a lovely spot to rest and reflect near downtown Kennebunkport. And there you'll find on a sculpted bench a wide brim sun hat, the kind Barbara wore in her garden, and an open copy face down of her favorite book, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Jane Austen used one of her characters in that book to utter a wonderful truth. I declare there is no enjoyment like reading. How much sooner one tires of anything than of a book. Reading, literacy for all was, as you know, Barbara Bush's great passion. Every great book has a good beginning, but also a wonderful end. And so the life story of Barbara Bush is best described as a consummate good read. We gather today in this holy space that has been the worshiping community of President George H.W. Bush and First Lady Barbara Bush for more than 50 years. It is an humbling privilege to speak as her pastor, her friend, her priest, and her confidant. But what an interesting thing to be a confidant to a woman who has no secrets. What you saw was what you got. What was in here came out here. The author of our lesson in Proverbs muses on the gifts of a loving wife and mother, a godly woman, all of which Barbara had. She believed in and practiced the principles of honesty, tolerance, decency, courage, and strength. And perhaps above all, humility. She lived according to the mantra of the Bush family for many years, don't get caught up in the big me. One day, we were walking together on the beach in Kennebunkport. Barbara was washing off her own shoes, and a fellow came up to her and said, "Hey, you look a lot like Barbara Bush." And without missing a beat, Barbara just said, "Yes, I hear that a lot." She was a friend to people of every political persuasion and race and religion. Her generosity of spirit did not draw lines that kept others out. Hers was a life of circles that sought to bring others in. Here in Houston, we saw her at major galas, behind home plate at the Astros games, praying here in the pews, catching up with a neighbor while pushing her own buggy through Walgreens. And her humor. We've heard so much, 100 stories we could tell. One day after sharing prayers and communion with the president and Bar, my wife, Laura, leaned over to kiss the president on the cheek, at which point BB, one of her beloved dogs, nipped my wife on the calf. This is a badge of honor, by the way. Apologies came, but the next morning on our doorstep was a beautiful orchid with a handwritten note. "Dear Laura, I'm so sorry about the bite. You just look good enough to eat." Oh, my word, we could talk endlessly about how great this woman is. But we are reminded in the lesson from Ecclesiastes that there comes a time for everything, even the end of a great story. The least of Barbara's virtues, I think, was patience. If you're sharing a meal or waiting on her favorite drink, bourbon and water for the record, I pause to say, with all the talking about drinking and all the language from the pulpit, we've done a great deal of evangelism for my church today. Thank you. And I mean that sincerely. If things were slowing up, Barbara would say, why the holdup? Barbara liked to see things move along, and I think that's why we're here today. I think Barbara was becoming impatient. She was tired of waiting on the next chapter. So, well, she welcomed it on April 17th. But perhaps it will help all of us.
The same day my brother died.
Jesus was Barbara's pathway to God.
A year later.
She honored and believed that others found God in their own way, but for her, being a Christian mattered. We were talking one day a few years ago, and she kind of paused and looked me in the eye, and she said, I am a Christian,